Tonight, the Russian army has abandoned its attempt to take Ukraine's capital city. Kyiv is still under air assault, but Russian ground troops are retreating from the suburbs after suffering grievous losses. New images of liberated neighborhoods are scenes of ruin, with evidence of many civilian deaths. A Pentagon source tells us the greatest battle now is for the coastal city of Mariupol. More than 100,000 civilians are trapped there. Also, Russian missiles have exploded in the major port city of Odessa. Russia expected Ukraine to fall in a matter of days, but now, after 6 weeks, the Russian military has failed to seize even one of its strategic objectives. 8 days ago, Russian missiles exploded in Lviv, the western Ukrainian city nearest to Poland and NATO. The attack was perhaps a message to President Biden, who was speaking in Poland that same hour. The name Lviv means City of Lions, and this past week we traveled there to find a defiant people, braving airstrikes, rushing in medical supplies, and sheltering the innocent.
The story will continue in a moment.
This is the attack on Lviv. March 26th, as Ukraine fought this inferno, Mr. Biden came to the end of a precisely crafted speech, then ad-libbed his disgust for Vladimir Putin.
For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
Among diplomats, it was heresy, but in the bomb shelters of Lviv, it was a prayer. The region, centered on this nearly 800-year-old city, has barricaded its monuments and opened its heart with shelter for 500,000 homeless Ukrainians. We want to go home. We want to go home now, but they're shooting there. Larissa, her son and daughter fled the city of Kyiv on a 19-hour train with no food or water. Bombing, 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 she told us, bombing day and night. It's like Armageddon, she said. 10 million Ukrainians have fled Armageddon, 4 million out of the country, 6 million compressed into Ukrainian cities. In the City of Lions, you can spot the evacuation shelters by the cargo pallets outside. They're foundations for new homes. This is a basketball court blanketed in donated bedding. The homeless, wrapped in compassion, rest on the lattice of the wooden pallets. The only place they have in the world measures 10 feet by 3.5. The shelters are dank with the faint, acrid smell of too many people in too small a space. The rules are implied. Keep quiet, mind your palate, do not show fear to the children. Food and medicine are in short supply. Their only wealth is time, endless hours of worry, broken only by the sight of a new arrival or the wail of a siren. Air raid warnings break up the day.
Until we figure out what's going on with these sirens.
And send Ukrainians tapping for a new app they can't live without, called Air Alarm. It sets off the phone in an air raid and pinpoints where the bombs are falling. On this evacuation, we ran into Irina, a woman who'd heard one siren too many. Why? Why are they wreaking this destruction? What did we do to them? She said of the Russians. When you look down at a curb and you see a little child lying there, dead, what did she do? Hundreds of our little children are being killed. Little children, do you see? We did see, in an image from the city of Mariupol, A blood-stained baby blanket wrapped an 18-month-old boy. The mother follows her partner into a hospital. Her child, named Kirill, did not survive. We want to warn you that what you're about to see of this family is hard to watch. But this is Russia's war on civilians in Ukraine. The casualties include the hospitals themselves. Russia targets them in a criminal campaign. This is a hospital in Nikoliv, another hospital in Mariupol, the Lugansk Children's Hospital, a hospital in Volnovakha, and the maternity hospital in Mariupol.
We have seen, as of today, 72 attacks on health.
Dr. Jarno Habicht totals the atrocities as the head of the UN's World Health Organization in Ukraine.
Many doctors in the hospitals are also under attack. And it's not only hospitals. It could be hospitals, it could be the primary care centers. We have seen many attacks to the ambulances. We have 71 deaths and a number of injuries also through those attacks.
71 dead. Those include healthcare professionals and their patients.
These are the healthcare workers, patients, those who have been in the facilities.
How frequently are these attacks on medical infrastructure happening?
Daily. And that's worrisome.
In fact, attacking healthcare workers and healthcare facilities is literally the original war crime.
Yes.
From the Geneva Convention in 1864.
Exactly.
When a hospital is attacked, what is lost?
You lose hope because many people go to hospital because they want to get the care. And when hospitals are attacked, you don't have those places where you can actually get healed and be treated.
And that is the loss of hope.
Yes.
In Ukraine today, hope must be imported. We found it in an abandoned factory where an American charity, the International Medical Corps, is distributing medical supplies.
Everything's broken down exactly how you'd see it in a pharmacy. For instance, amoxicillin, antibiotic, really useful.
The IMC's Dr. John Roberts told us these boxes hold emergency supplies called an IHK, or Interagency Health Kit. And this would treat how many patients for how long?
So the IHK as a total kit can treat 10,000 people for 3 months.
We have brought in tons and tons and tons of medical supplies, surgical equipment, medications, bandages, everything that you would need to not only do primary health care, but also to do surgery, to birth babies, to take care of pregnant women.
With a country at war, how are the needs different?
People think war, they think it's all gunshot wounds and bombs, but when you don't have the healthcare system there, everything else that's not normally a problem all of a sudden becomes a problem. So for instance, something as simple as blood pressure medication or medication for heart failure or diabetes, getting your insulin, that goes away.
In the warehouse, we met 2 International Medical Corps co-workers who recently fled this. These are burned-out apartment buildings in Mariupol. The Russians couldn't seize this southern port city, so they bombed the 450,000 residents back to the Middle Ages. Violetta Voloskina and Alexander Lapye escaped with the truth. Suddenly, there was no gas at the gas stations, he told us, so we couldn't go anywhere. Then food started disappearing from the stores, and real hell broke loose. Power was out, we couldn't charge our phones, the heat was gone. The worst thing was the explosions getting closer. The school was burning, some shops were on fire. Next to our apartment building, there was an abandoned home, and that building really saved us because we could go there, break the door frames and window frames, and use that to start fires.
Нечем было топить.
What happened to the people you were with in the bomb shelter?
Было нас больше 50.
There were about 50 of us in the basement, no room to lie down. Myself with my wife and daughter. There was no bathroom, no water, no light. One elderly lady suffered for 2 days. She shouted, she moaned, and imagine, it's 11 at night, it's dark, and she passes away.
Представьте себе темень, и она умирает.
He told us 4 days later, they escaped the basement. The body of the elderly woman was still by the door.
Нам пришлось спуститься в подвал и жить там.
When we were in the basement, Violetta told us, we thought that only our place was being shelled because planes were flying over us and dropping bombs. When we left the city, we saw the whole city was destroyed.
Что нашего города нет.
You gave us a picture of the basement shelter you were in. What was that like?
Мы готовили на костре.
We had to cook on a fire. We didn't wash for 2 weeks because the water was only for drinking. We collected branches, made a fire, and all cooked together. All the people brought everything they had. Naturally, we cooked all the meat first because it would spoil.
Оно могло пропасть.
Your daughter turned 17 years old during this invasion, and I wonder if you think she has a future in Ukraine.
Все мои вещи
Everything I own fits in a single suitcase, Alexander told us. I don't know, honestly, how a child is supposed to carry on.
Мой ребенок будет.
The Russians claim they are liberating the Ukrainian people.
Я хочу сказать, что
We didn't ask anyone to liberate us. We lived peacefully in our city, we lived our lives, we went to work, and everything was fine. We had a happy life. Someone started a war, and someone ruined our lives.
И у нас все было хорошо, у нас была счастливая жизнь.
Lviv has known many invasions over 8 centuries. Here, just going about the day is an act of defiance. On the coffee shop door, we couldn't help but notice the sign that keeps a daily tally of Russian soldiers killed and planes and tanks and ships destroyed. The numbers are frothy, but inside, where IDs are checked to keep Russians out, they're serving up courage.
Can you tell me a little bit about how you're feeling?
In the shelters, Dr. John Roberts is looking at the long haul, counting up the shortages.
We try and formulate exactly what they need and fill that in the best way possible. So we bring in tons of medications.
You know, I think that's the air raid siren.
Yes, it is.
Once again, Lviv took cover. During our visit, the United Nations appointed a commission to investigate war crimes. That will be for the future. For now, in the shelters of the City of Lions, they pray their light endures the darkness.
Going to the nearest bomb shelter.
See how the 60 Minutes team reported from inside Ukraine at 60minutesovertime.com. Sponsored by Cologuard.